Is working? Is it on?
Hello.
Don't pay us no mind. We just trying to figure out how to start this thing. But happy to be back. Good to see you all.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah. What's been like 3-4 months?
I think it's been longer than that.
Longer than that since we've done a video. This might be the first one this year, 2019.
Yeah, I think so.
Probably. So, either way, we're here to talk about marriage stuff. I think the last time we were talking about was the challenges of marriage. There's still challenges?
Challenges of a second marriage.
Challenges of a second marriage.
Yeah, that's a whole nother beast.
Right
Those
there. Of you who are new to us, this is both of our second and final marriage. And we are almost 7 years in knowing each other, 5 years in marriage. Man. And still got a lot to know, a lot to learn. What are we going to talk about today?
We were going to talk about the challenges of a second marriage and the aspect of how well do you think you know each other.
That was cool too. You see how she just took that?
Yeah,
I don't know if that was for me not embarrassing you or because you love me. Let's talk about that.
Talking about how well you know each other. You should know me better than that.
Did you do that because I don't want you embarrassing me on camera?
So I do that because I don't want
or
you to
because I love this man so much. I just want to take this off his face.
It was just a natural
reaction.
Okay. That's what I wanted to touch you.
Okay. All right. It reminded me of the first time we were. Yeah, I don't want to go into it, but you know what I'm talking about. And you were praying, and you had a little something on your face.
Oh yeah.
And everything in me wanted to just go up there and wipe her, but it made me realize, Barry, you can't just do that where you are and the whole dynamic of everything. But, so you did that because you love me?
Of course.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry. So, let's get back to it.
Anyway, challenges of a second marriage from the aspect of how well do you think you know your spouse? And just the constant evolution of getting to know each other and then the new things that you learn about each other, allowing those things to enlighten you about that person as well as enlighten you about yourself. Some things that you learn about your spouse is not just for informational purposes for them or even for ammunition against them. But
so you suggest, is that statement suggest that sometimes people get to know about each other or about individuals so they can use it against them?
Sometimes they whatever they use.
Dangerous.
The intel that they gain by getting to know that person, they're filing it away as ammunition for later. And I don't even know how we got on that vein, but that is a real thing. That sometimes what you learn, and it has everything to do with where you are.
Can I be transparent as a man, not even just as me, but I've seen firsthand as a counselor as well as people who's married people and counsel people. I've seen that on both ends, but surprisingly, from women who encourage their man to be vulnerable and share with them about them, and then they go and use it in arguments to slap them in the face with. Now, I'm sure men have done the same thing, but I thought, see, men are stupid. I thought women were above that pettiness, but for some reason.
That's what I was going to say, is that most times, if not all the time, it has everything to do with where you are as a woman or where you're not as a woman, opposed to where that man is or what he may be doing, but has everything to do with you being messed up on the inside and you being insecure and you looking for a reason to
Yeah, I share with you that I'm sensitive and that I cry easily, or that, and then when it come out, you're old punk ass because you. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I meant to say it anyway, but that's what women will say. I'm not saying you say that, but women will say that, and it's like, where'd that come from? I share with you, and we don't get all mushy at the point, but in our mind we thinking, I ain't sharing another thing with this woman, and I'm probably looking for an exit.
And we were talking about that earlier over brunch, sitting across the table from each other, about how sometimes people get addicted to hurt. They get addicted to being disappointed. They get addicted to drama. They bring things into relationships that they've never healed from, and then this person has to suffer from the fact that you have never healed from before. So,
while I'm probably trying to heal from my stuff and not bring it into
recipe for disaster.
And before you know, we playing tennis, hurting each other.
Right.
Just volleying back and forth. the irony in tennis is that when there's blank to zero, it's called love.
Right. So the whole idea about getting to know each other is that your relationship and your marriage should be a safe place for the both of you guys. It should be a safe haven where you can come and unravel, where you can come and expose yourself and be vulnerable without the fear of being retaliated against. And getting to know each other is a process. Getting enlightened about that person, as I was saying before, is not for you to gain intel and ammunition against them, but it's for you to learn something new about that person and learn how to deal with that person from that angle.
It's interesting you said to gain intel. You said it twice, probably 3 times now. I'm thinking about a character in the Bible, Samson. And because I was going to say every strong man, every working man wants a safe place to lay his head. That's just, I got that in one of my books as a chapter, a place to lay my head. And the last thing we want, similar with Samson, is the place I lay my head and be vulnerable is the place where they use that information, that intel that they get, and deceive me. Use it, pass it on to my enemy, the thing that can weaken me and hurt me. You take that and use it to tear me down. And then when I retaliate or respond, not retaliate, I'm looked at as a bad man, and then we're labeled as there's no good men out there. I was on the road to good, and I allowed myself to be vulnerable, but you put me in a position that I can't even try to be good because you use it against me. I'm going too far. And I'm not speaking from a personal standpoint. I don't want anybody thinking, he just went somewhere we didn't even know. Did this really happen to him? No. I work with people so much that I see it and I heard it. And it's a real thing. Which begs the question, how well do we know each other and trust each other for that matter? We're 7 years in. How well do you think you know me?
I think I know you fairly well. I'm still learning, but I think I know a lot about you. I know enough about you to know what your weaknesses are, to know what triggers you, to know what makes your face and your eyes light up, to know what drives you, what motivates you. And that's the mistake that we make a lot of times as women. We don't realize the power that we have over our husbands. And the responsibility that we have to use what we learn about our husband to strengthen them and to add life to them, opposed to using the information that we get to tear them down, and then we get back exactly what we put into them. We get back a weak man. We get back a man that is demasculated and weak, and because that's what we put out there.
The privilege you have of being with him, and I say that meaning that he wants to pour out to you, the power you gain from what he shares with you. But you said something that was huge, the responsibility of we have with what we get from him. I'm privileged enough that I'm the one he chose to open up to, and that's power now that I have, that he's given me. Talk about that responsibility part of it now, of what you've gained, what you know about him, good and bad, functional and dysfunctional. My responsibility as his wife, his best friend, is what?
My responsibility as his wife and his best friend is to cover him, and to cover him in areas that he doesn't even know he's exposed in a lot of times. Because sometimes when a man is being vulnerable and opening up himself to you, he doesn't know that he's exposing himself, particularly not to you, because he's feeling that you are the safe place where he can, expose himself and be vulnerable. But it's your job to use what you find out and what you learn about him to cover him.
Our producer's holding up to 30 seconds. Okay. But we go, keep going.
No, that was it.
I think this has to be a part two in this area. Because then this conversation, the misconception is that, okay, well, she shares a lot with him, and men abuse what they get from her as well. And she's absolutely right. We're going to address both of those.
Yep.
All of those. Getting to know each other, the challenges of second marriages. Go.
And what you do with what you learned. Are you enlightened? Are you frightened? Are you
Speaking of fright, do that again. No, I'm just.
are you using it to strengthen, to cover, or are you using it as ammunition to fire back and further damage your marriage? So
Let's talk about that next time.
all right.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Come on in with me.